Are you a podcaster? Maybe you've got that big idea and you're looking for a network to join. The multi-award-winning Ozcast network can get your content to eyes and ears all over the world. Join now for the first month free, and you could be featuring this sound at the beginning of your podcast. Ozcast. Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
Hello there, and welcome on the Think Lab Growth Mindset podcast. I'm Sophie Champagne, your host, and I will be interviewing inspiring entrepreneurs from our community. We will go through their journey, successes and failures, and concrete advice. In today's episode, I will be interviewing Jason May from the Solar River project. He will be explaining how partnership, mentorship, and support of the community are very important for startups. Welcome on the podcast, Jason. You are the co-founder and co-director at the Solar River project, one of the biggest success stories at Think Lab and in the Adelaide business landscape, actually. I would like you to tell me about the Solar River project. What is it in a nutshell? And when and why did you start the project? What happened?
Thank you for that. Solar River project is a 200 megawatt photovoltaic array with one of the world's largest batteries. The array consists of about 640,000 solar panels, so the ones that you see on your roof, spread over a 3-kilometre area, located up just north of the Barossa Valley in South Australia. The large battery stores the energy and supports the national electricity grid with nice, clean, renewable energy. So we started our journey in Think Lab about 2 years ago. It was a startup. We effectively had nothing, and we went out. We sourced some seed capital. We had a great idea. Myself and my business partner, who's had 20 years' experience in infrastructure finance. I'm an energy guy, so I've got about 30 years' experience in the national grid, developing generation systems and bits and pieces. Had a great idea in 2002, which sparked the whole Solar River venture. It's now evolved into something quite exciting. We've secured all of our approvals, so we're now approved by the government, approved development. We've got our contractors in place. We've got our offtake, which is the people buying our electricity, which is very hard to get. We're the only offtake in Australia that's been awarded this year by an energy retailer. So that was a huge milestone for us. Getting to this point was extremely challenging. Like, we burnt through angel investment of $100,000 and then a bridging loan of another $300,000, which got us to the point where we could mature the project and present it to a working capital investor, and we secured just under $3 million to get the project to financial close, which is the point where the major equity and debt investment pours into the project, and that's $500 million. So, and that all occurs next month, which is really exciting. Think Lab has been fundamental and a core, like a keystone to the project. It's offered us a platform to present on the global stage. Everyone told us in the industry that this was an impossible task, that no individual could ever pull this off. Only multinationals would ever take this on, putting $4 or $5 million at risk with no real guarantee of success. Was just a challenge that every time someone said, no, you can't do it, we just got more determined to get it done. So it's been a monumental undertaking. Think Lab have been fantastic, very supportive. The venue, the facilities, the mentoring program, the introduction through Think Lab to our working capital investor was absolutely pivotal. So the connections, the people, the enthusiasm, the environment, it just blows you away. I love coming to work every day. I love being around all the people. So,
have you seen an evolution in the renewable and sustainable energy industry in Australia since the early days of the project?
There's been a radical transformation in the energy sector. So when I started in the industry in the mid-'80s, it was very much gas and coal. That was it. That was all that we had for, especially in Australia, in Europe and elsewhere, they have nuclear and whatever else, but that's not an option in Australia. We have some hydro, but South Australia is the driest state and the driest continent on Earth, so we don't have a great deal of water for hydro. So coal and gas, we've seen an evolution of technology, the reduction in photovoltaic cells, the price has reduced enormously. In the last 2 years, we've seen a massive reduction in the cost of lithium-ion batteries. They've come down a factor of 6 in 1 year, which is making them very affordable. It was always an issue, the storage of electricity. It was for renewables, because they're intermittent, you need to store the energy.
Yeah.
So how we did that, there was an evolution through thermal, which so storing heat, converting sunlight into heat, and then storing it and producing electricity. That has now fallen by the wayside, and lithium-ion has just taken over. So we adopted that about 3 years ago, the notion of photovoltaics with lithium-ion.
How was it helpful for you to be in South Australia when you started the project? Did you receive some support from the government, or was it hard at the beginning?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm South Australian born and bred, so I'm sixth generation South Australian. So we came out on the second ship that founded South Australia. The reason we did Solar River in South Australia was I knew all the government players. I knew I'd worked with the network owner here. I knew everybody. So if we were going to do something this big and this risky, it had to be on our home patch, with our home turf. So, and that significantly de-risked the approvals process and our generation license and all the rest of it. My father is also 50 years in the energy sector, so he's been retired for many years, but he trained many of the people that are now involved in the industry and I'm working with, and they've all known me since I was a child. So it made sense to do it in South Australia. We knew all the planning laws. We knew where the good solar resource was. We knew where the strong connection points were in the network. So where to connect and all the rest of it. Yeah. So it made a lot of sense to do it here. Apart from that, I consider myself a global citizen because I travel so much, but home is South Australia, and it is just it's a beautiful place to live, and I'm very lucky to be able to be here and do the project here. So.
And are you developing the project elsewhere in Australia or even abroad?
So I spent many years in Rajasthan, PNG, Fiji, Tonga, doing these types of projects, but smaller versions of them. So about 1/20th the size, which is still a very big project. But there are a lot of challenges dealing internationally, dealing with the World Bank, trying to stimulate investment through governments that you're not overly familiar with. Dealing in India was extremely challenging because of their monsoons, and they have a lot of cloud cover. So it just made sense. The Solar River project removes about 8 million tonnes of CO2 from the atmosphere. So that's just stage one. So our investors are now talking about multiple stages. So it's great for the environment. We've managed to do environmental offsets and also community offset programs. So we're investing millions in the environment. We're investing in the local councils, reforms around, they have some issues with drugs and unemployment in the region, so we've put in $1 million to address that. Mm-hmm. The project itself creates over 450 jobs during construction for the 2 years, plus about 30 full-time jobs permanently. Mm. We've got the Indigenous owners who we pay great homage to and respect, who have allowed us to build on their land. We're paying $1 million over 25 25 years for them. For Indigenous youth in Australia do struggle. They have been suppressed for many, many years as a culture and somewhat lost. So this fund gives them an opportunity to get involved. They're brilliant sportsmen and women, so it gives them an opportunity to get involved in sport at a senior level. With that comes fame and wealth. And also with the university programs as well, we're looking to contribute to PhDs. There are very few Indigenous PhDs in Australia, so we're looking to sponsor scholarships and those sorts of things to support them on their journey. As well as all the farmers in the region, there's 14 landholders. They're all receiving significant compensation for having our assets on their land, which effectively drought-proofs their farms. So instead of farming sheep and cattle, they now farm the sun. So they're very, very supportive. So it's just a good news story. Every aspect of the project has a positive impact on community environment. It offers reasonable returns to investors as well. So it's highly desirable project on all levels. So.
And what are the next big steps or challenges in the next coming years? Getting to financial close is a mammoth task unto itself. We went to the global banking community to secure our debt. We have 14 banks, and in the syndicate, the closed syndicate, we have 3 that have agreed to service our debt, which is $250 million. And securing equity, so the remainder is made up of equity, so a cash investment of $260 million or thereabouts. These are not small numbers. It's a lot of money. There's extensive due diligence and quite a lengthy process that goes with securing those funds. So that process is well advanced. Cost many millions of dollars to get to this point, paying, I think I've made every consultant and lawyer in Australia wealthy while we eat baked beans and struggle away as the entrepreneur. But our reward comes later, that's... Yeah, sure.
So we are focused. We do have a broader portfolio which will be funded by the success of stage 1 of Solar River. We have projects in New South Wales and Queensland on the drawing board. We have another 3 projects in South Australia.
Okay.
One of those includes the next stage of Solar River. They're all very similar in nature. They're all subject to the power purchase agreement, the takeoff that I mentioned with, and we have a very good relationship with our retailer. They've already expressed a desire to do future projects with us. So having a fixed and firm contract for a takeoff for 15 years is very rare, and we have one. But it also firms up. So debt, all the banks want to know is that you can repay your loan. That's different to buying a mortgage. They want to know you've got a job and everything else. So the contracted revenue is their assurance that there is revenue there to pay off the debt. So you cannot secure debt without it. So we have one, and we have access to future power purchase agreements as well.
And you're mentioning your successes. Can we talk also about the failures or mistakes during the project?
Absolutely.
Can you take us through that?
Our list of failures far exceed our list of successes by a factor of 100, I think. But I think the key message with our failures is, and for any entrepreneur coming through the system, is network as much as you can and as often as you can. Listen to all the advice that's coming to you from all areas. You don't know it all. There are pitfalls out there that other people have experienced that you can learn from. Pitfalls cost money, and money is something we don't have a lot of. So if you can avoid one pitfall, you may save yourself $10,000 or $100,000 or 3 or 6 months in time. So I think the key thing about failure is, 1, the networking. Listen, leverage the mentor program with ThinkLab if you're lucky enough to have access to it. I think be very disciplined and very structured, develop a business plan. No one may ever read it, but the fact that investors know that you have one is enough quite often for them to sign up. So have a business plan, have strategies, listen to the implementation cycle from your mentors, take heed of that. Work hard, work harder than you've ever worked in your life. If you truly believe in it, what we've found is investors will believe as well. Mm-hmm. So if you're sitting on the fence, you've got your day job, but then you do this as a sideline, generally that doesn't work. You have to be all in, 100% committed. The last 2 years I've worked 7 days a week, including Christmas Day, and all public holidays. So we've literally not had one day off, and we've worked for our standard day is 14 hours. So I need a holiday. I need to go to France and sit on the beach and
Gotcha.
drink good coffee and eat croissants for about 2 months, I think. But
I know what you mean.
yeah. But no, I think the key message is listen, leverage, learn. Now, I'm a little bit older. I've had a career of 30 years. I get so inspired when I see the graduates come out and say, I want to set up a business. I want to do this. I believe in this. That inspires me. I just to have the courage to do that at that age. I'm older now, and it's so inspirational. So my hat's off to them, but they're young and inexperienced, so you really, really need to listen very carefully, be very methodical, very structured in the way that you implement your idea and you commercialize it. If people are saying it can't be done, I tend to ignore them, which is probably one of my downfalls. But
okay,
I think,
first advice.
Yeah, I guess I can ignore some based on my experience. I've been in the industry for a long time. But if you're younger and someone says it can't be done or these are the issues, listen very, very carefully and document it. Come up with strategies to address what they've raised. And it may be that you change tack, that you maneuver around that issue. Keep your eye on the goal, but take on board everything that is said and listen. Be very, make sure you have mentors in place, and you can have more than one, and make sure they're mentors that are going to stress you. And they may not always say things that you like, but
of course.
better we use the Band-Aid analogy. So better to rip the Band-Aid off than just sit there teasing away at it, pulling it off. So bad news earlier, and address it in a proactive manner. And believe in what you're doing, inspire others to follow you. Investors will, and investors are all about your commitment, and that's what's got us to this point. They see us working those ridiculous hours, and they see our belief in what we're trying to do. So if you're sitting on the fence, you won't attract that same sort of attention, and you'll be in this cycle of, it's not happening for us and all the rest of it. So
you have to be committed, and to show your commitment to investors, to your mentors, you have to choose the right mentors according to their skills and your business. And okay, cool, awesome. And I feel like Adelaide and South Australia, with all the incentives from the government for the incubators, like the ecosystem is really dynamic around the startup landscape, I would say. So it's actually easy to find mentors. I feel like when I arrived, it was kind of easy to meet people, and people were really keen to help me. And I've had the same feedback from a lot of entrepreneurs that I've met. Yeah,
I'd agree with that. I think Australians by nature are very friendly, and our French friends, of course, we love our French friends. But Australians are generally quite friendly by nature. They treat everyone equally. They're very open to offer up suggestions and ideas. So in that regard, it's a very positive environment. I do get somewhat annoyed when I hear people saying, the investment's only available, say it's a tech idea, it's only available in Silicon Valley and I've got to go there. If you believe in what you're doing and you stimulate the investors, they will come here. They will follow you wherever you are if you've got a good idea and if you've got clarity on how you can offer them a return. So South Australia needs investment. We are a tiny economy. We're a free trade state. We were set up as an experiment 160 years ago, whenever it was. It's all here for us. It's sitting here. The government are very supportive of foreign investment. They have a huge amount of resource available to us to stimulate that. Sure, travel the world, get ideas, but bring them home, bring them here, nurture them. If you can, the old adage is, if you can make it in Adelaide, you can make it anywhere. So, because it is challenging, but that in itself is a really good litmus test for your idea. If you can get traction here, then chances are it'll get traction everywhere. So it is a great place to accelerate your idea through ThinkLab, of course. So.
Yeah, right. Last question for you, Jason. What do you do when you want to relax from work? When you want to escape the pressure at work? What do you do? What's your secret?
When I've finished and sold or diluted my shares in Solar River, I do plan on going on holiday for at least 6 weeks with my phone turned off. It's been a very long road. To survive the weekly ups and downs and highs and lows and frustration and exhilaration, quite often I'll just walk for 3 or 4 hours on the beach. So I do that. Or I spend time with my children and listen to their stories. The beach is my saviour. So
it's relaxing, right?
Yeah, it keeps me
listening to a podcast while walking on the beach, right?
Oh, of course. I'll keep replaying it. Yeah, absolutely. Adelaide, we're very lucky to have quite a nice beach. So
I agree.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Jason.
Thank you. No worries. It was fun.
Thank you so much for listening to the ThinkLab Growth Mindset podcast. You will find in the description some details about my invitee contacts, links, and music jingle production. Please share this episode and send me your feedback. That's very important to me. Catch up soon for a new episode.
Are you a podcaster? Maybe you've got that big idea and you're looking for a network to join. The multi-award-winning Ozcast network can get your content to eyes and ears all over the world. Join now for the first month free, and you could be featuring this sound at the beginning of your podcast.
Ozcast.
Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.